Walking 7,000 Steps a Day, The Real Lancet Public Health Evidence by AZLAN ADNAN, May 23, July 2025. Introduction. The commonly cited recommendation of walking 10,000 steps per day as a key to better health has been accepted globally with little question, yet its origins are not scientific. In fact, the 10,000 step target can be traced to a Japanese marketing campaign in the 1960s promoting a pedometer named the Manpo-K, which roughly translates to 10,000 step meter. The figure was selected more for its visual appeal than empirical foundation, particularly because the Japanese character for 10,000 resembled a person walking. For decades, this arbitrary number persisted unchallenged in the public imagination. However, recent scientific scrutiny has finally addressed the myth with clarity and rigor. A landmark study published in the Lancet Public Health in July 2025 debunks this long-standing assumption, offering compelling evidence that walking just 7,000 steps a day, substantially less than the conventional 10,000, is enough to significantly reduce the risk of a wide array of health conditions. Conducted as a systematic review and dose-response meta-analysis, the study synthesized data from 57 cohort studies, covering over 160,000 adults in multiple countries, making it the most comprehensive global analysis of its kind to date. What the science shows. The findings of this meta-analysis are striking. Compared to individuals who walked approximately 2,000 steps per day, those who walked 7,000 steps daily experienced a 47% reduction in all-cause mortality. Cardiovascular disease risk was reduced by 25%, while the risk of developing type 2 diabetes fell by 14%. There was also a 6% reduction in the risk of cancer. The study went even further, showing that walking 7,000 steps per day could lower the risk of developing dementia by 38% and reduce the likelihood of experiencing depressive symptoms by 22%. Among older adults, walking this distance led to 28% fewer falls. These figures carry profound implications for public health. What's especially important is that for most of these health outcomes, the curve of benefit began to level off at around 7,000 steps per day. While some additional gains were observed up to 10,000 to 12,000 steps, particularly for metabolic and cardiovascular conditions, most of the health benefits were essentially secured at the 7,000 step mark. Beyond that point, the law of diminishing returns begins to apply. Small increases make a big difference. The study also emphasized the value of modest increases in step count. Individuals who walked 4,000 steps a day had a 36% lower risk of early death compared to those who remained at 2,000 steps. This suggests that even small improvements in daily movement can have outsized impacts, particularly for sedentary individuals. For people who find 7,000 steps daunting, whether due to age, illness, disability, or time constraints, there is real encouragement in knowing that increasing physical activity from a very low baseline can still yield meaningful health dividends. This shift in understanding reframes the conversation around exercise. It's no longer about hitting a distant numerical goal, but about making steady progress. For the first time, global physical activity recommendations are beginning to reflect a more inclusive, evidence-based perspective that accommodates the realities of people's daily lives. Context and significance. This study marks a turning point in the science of physical activity. Earlier research largely concentrated on the relationship between step count and all-cause mortality or heart disease. While valuable, that narrower focus did not capture the broader impacts of walking on diseases such as diabetes, cancer, or neurodegenerative conditions. The current meta-analysis fills that gap by offering a panoramic view of how simple movement influences multiple chronic health outcomes, as well as mental health and fall risk. Lead author Professor Melody Ding of the University of Sydney remarked that 7,000 steps is an achievable and realistic goal for most people. Her colleague and co-author, Dr. Catherine Owen, highlighted that the key message is not perfection, but progress. Rather than prescribing a one-size-fits-all target, the study promotes flexible and adaptive goals based on individual capacity. These insights align with broader public health principles aimed at accessibility, equity, and sustainability. They offer a welcome counterpoint to fitness culture's relentless pursuit of arbitrary metrics, limitations, and nuance. Despite the strength of the findings, the authors were careful to acknowledge the limitations inherent in observational research. While the associations between higher step counts and better health outcomes are robust, causality cannot be firmly established. It remains plausible that healthier individuals are naturally more active, rather than walking being the cause of their better health. That said, the consistency of the findings across studies, age groups, and countries strengthens the overall conclusions. Another important limitation lies in the diversity and reliability of the data sources. Step counts were typically recorded through wearable devices, such as pedometers and accelerometers, which do not measure physical activity intensity or capture non-walking activities like cycling, swimming, or resistance training. Moreover, many of the included studies varied in terms of follow-up duration, age distribution, and baseline health conditions, which may introduce additional bias. Additionally, fewer studies focused on outcomes such as dementia, cancer, and falls, compared to more commonly researched endpoints like cardiovascular mortality. While the preliminary findings in those domains are promising, they should be interpreted with caution until further research is available. Finally, it is worth noting that optimal step count thresholds may differ by age. Previous studies, including a 2022 meta-analysis, indicated that adults over the age of 60 experience maximum benefit around 6,000 to 8,000 steps per day, while younger adults may see continued, though slower, improvement up to 10,000 steps. Nevertheless, even in these groups, the most significant gains appear to occur before reaching 7,000 steps. Implications for daily life. From a practical standpoint, the take-home message is liberating. You do not need to hit 10,000 steps a day to protect your health. Walking 7,000 steps, a little over an hour of moderate-paced walking, is sufficient to prevent or reduce the risk of a wide range of diseases. Moreover, even smaller increases from low activity levels can result in measurable benefits. This reframing of expectations removes pressure from people who may feel daunted or discouraged by unrealistic fitness targets. Instead of viewing exercise as an all-or-nothing proposition, people can embrace a gradual and manageable approach. For example, walking during phone calls, taking stairs instead of lifts, parking further from one's destination, or adding a brief walk after meals can all contribute to one's daily total. Those who already exceed 10,000 steps a day can continue to do so, especially since modest additional benefits continue for cardiovascular and metabolic outcomes. However, the primary message is that most of the protective effects associated with walking are accessible well below that mark. A shift in public health paradigms. This study represents not just a clarification of science, but a philosophical shift in how we approach physical activity in society. For decades, public health campaigns, workplace wellness programs, and fitness apps have reinforced a 10,000-step mantra that often discouraged rather than empowered. With new evidence in hand, health authorities, clinicians, and policymakers have an opportunity to recalibrate their messaging and embrace more attainable, evidence-based recommendations. The truth is simple yet powerful. Walking moderately each day, without obsessing over a magical number, can have extraordinary long-term effects on one's physical and mental well-being. In a world increasingly dominated by sedentary work, digital distraction, and chronic stress, this research offers a clear, actionable, and scientifically validated call to move more, even just a little.